We are here in Sydney, Australia, where we are meeting with some of the fastest growing companies that are breaking the glass ceiling and changing the ways we go about life.
NetSuite has been a real game changer for us.
The unified system has allowed us to really increase our efficiency.
NetSuite enables all of our staff to really access real-time data.
That singular view of your customer really helps to make some great business decisions.
A lot of people talk about NetSuite being an integrated system. Well, it is, but I tend to look at it as being integral because it's all there.
NetSuite can do anything.
To have an event like this here makes a lot of sense.
For us to hear from the vendor about what's going on, that kind of thing is incredibly important to help us get more value out of what we're investing in NetSuite.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage General Manager, ANZ, Oracle NetSuite, Jason Toshack.
Hello. Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for coming to SuiteConnect 2020. It's amazing. We were in the same venue last year. And I didn't think we could fit any more people in, but we definitely have. And we're also a big hi out to those people that are live streaming in today as well. We have an amazing show for you today. We've got a jam-packed full day of content that I'm sure you'll all find of interest. The theme is unlocking growth and how we can help you and our customers can help you to unlock the growth of your business. Before we get started, I would like to just start by acknowledging the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay my respects to the elders, both past, present and emerging. For those of you that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting as yet, my name's Jason Toshack. I'm the General Manager of ANZ for Oracle NetSuite. I've been with the business now coming on 14 years, and this is by far one of the most exciting events for me. I get to see customers of ours you'd never believe it, but have been here for longer than I have. So customers that have been using NetSuite for longer than we've had an office in Australia, for longer than I've been with the business, and are continuing to use and grow NetSuite day by day. We've also got an ever-growing number of customers, prospects, etc., and I think we've got a majority of you in here today, so I'm really, really excited, and really excited for yourselves as well, just to understand exactly how to unlock your growth. And I definitely encourage you all to mingle, network, and discuss. If you see someone out there, just have a chat to them and learn what they're doing in their businesses. Today you'll hear from a broad assortment of both customers, technical experts, and partners. As well as a man that I think should be familiar with most of you here today about unlocking growth, and he's done so on a number of organisations, and that's Mr. Mark Bouris. So I'm really excited to be hearing from him a little later on today. So before we move on, events like this can't be managed, and we can't put these events on without the support and sponsorship of our partners. We've got a fantastic array of partners in the expo hall out there. That are providing some absolutely amazing business solutions that can also help you extend your use of NetSuite. And we really, really encourage you to spend some time today and really look around each and every one of those to understand what they're doing and how they could potentially impact your business in a positive way and help unlock the growth for you. Everyone, this is nothing new. Australia has been through an absolutely devastating, unprecedented, natural disaster time. We've most recently had floods, and then prior to that, we had 4 to 5 months of absolutely devastating bushfires. This is not something that we've just known locally. This has had global press and global understanding, and we've had a really great, inflow of support, etc., from both globally as well as domestically. As part of this, we've had over 10 million hectares of land destroyed. We've had thousands of homes burnt down and destroyed as well, and we've had, unfortunately, 28 people lose their lives. In addition to this, the amount of devastation that this has caused the wildlife of Australia has been absolutely critical. So not only the koalas that we've seen a lot in the press, etc., but also the bird life. You've got to look at the bird life. There's over, I think, 1 million have had significant impact. That's 70 species and subspecies that have been severely impacted. And if they have survived, now they face, one, the loss of their habitats, as well as potential starvation, being that they don't have anything else to eat anymore. So in amongst the global outcry and support for Australia at this time, we've also got a lot of organisations that have done their bit. And what I'd like to do now is introduce an organisation that we're very, very proud to have as a customer of NetSuite as well, come up on stage and just explain what they do. So BirdLife Australia have been around since 2001. Their main focus is to look after the preservation of the Australian bird life, not only the birds themselves, but the habitats in which they live. They've been using NetSuite for a little while now, and obviously at the state we are in at the moment with regards to the fires, the impact that they have in being able to preserve the bird life and hopefully get it back on its feet is incredibly important. So with that, I would like to introduce BirdLife's Head of Research, Mr. James O'Connor, to spend some time with us. How are you, James?
Good, thanks, Jason. Thanks for having us.
Absolute pleasure, James. Look, thanks very much for being here, and thanks so much for all the work you guys are doing for the bird life. I know it's I don't know how you come back from the events we had, but without organisations such as yourself, this couldn't happen. So, to start with, I've given a little bit of an introduction as to what you guys do, but obviously you're the man. So, can you explain to the audience a little bit about what BirdLife Australia do and what your aims are, etc.?
Okay, I think this is the hardest question because we're a pretty complicated beast. As Jason said, we've been around since 1901, and we've been working to save Australia's birds all that time. The bushfires have changed the game again. What we do as a conservation organisation that perhaps sets us apart from other organisations is that we're grassroots and we're science-based. All the heavy lifting that we get done is done by our volunteers, and we have thousands of skilled volunteers out there who collect our data that let us know what's going on with Australia's birds, and some of our birds are in serious decline. The bushfires have had a really significant impact in the last few months alone, and so we really rely on our volunteers and our partners and all our supporters to do conservation for Australia's birds. We have a range of projects across Australia, and we're about to start a whole bunch of new ones, I think.
Fantastic. Now, obviously, with the climate situation that we've had, has there been any unexpected things that have come up that have made things a little bit more challenging for you doing your work?
Sure. I mean, I think these bushfires have taken us all completely by surprise, to be honest. Even those of us who work in conservation, we've studied the climate change and we've seen the predictions from scientists over decades that this was coming. It still takes you completely by surprise. And the scale of these bushfires is unprecedented, and I think the hectare figure is out past 15 million now. Really? So fires are still burning. We're still mapping the fires, and we had to keep updating our maps as we go. But the sheer extent of the devastation has been really surprising. I think the other thing that's been surprising is where these fires are burnt. We're seeing fires in wet forest and rainforest. We've never seen that before to this extent. And so we're looking at birds that we never thought would be impacted by wildfires, like lyrebirds, losing significant chunks of their habitat. The lyrebird that we all love, we estimate so far has lost 50% of its habitat just in 3 months.
Wow. And how do you go around, because obviously the birds are the one thing, but how do you go around helping to restore and regenerate the habitat? What are some of the things you do?
Yeah.
Where do you start?
Take a deep breath, and as I said, I think it starts with that, using that data that's been collected by our thousands of volunteers over decades. That gives us a real good baseline for knowing where the birds are and what the important areas are. And so what we've been doing over the last couple of months is furiously mapping the bushfires over our bird distribution layers and working out which birds are most affected. And I think you said, Jason, that there's 70 species and subspecies that have lost about 30 to 50% of their habitats. And so we already know where the hotspots are and where we need to get in on the ground and start doing that work. And for us, one of the most critical parts of that is to identify those refuges within the big fire scars that are still unburnt or not so badly burnt, and really work hard to protect those areas because they're just going to be critical for recovery.
Fantastic. Now, obviously you're a not-for-profit organisation, but that doesn't mean that you can do all this for free. So fundraising is a big part of being able to support your organisation to do what you do.
Yeah.
Can you tell us all about some of the fundraising activities you've done and how they've gone and what you're spending the money on initially at this time?
So we had our Christmas appeal was a drought Christmas appeal. That was chugging along okay. Early in the new year, we obviously changed that to a drought and bushfire appeal. We've raised over $750,000 from that, which is pretty good for us, but we really are looking for an ambitious stretch target over the next few months. The sky's the limit, really. I mean, we realise that the response required to protect birds now is going to be massive.
Yeah, absolutely. And what more can the audience do? Obviously, we've got in the Expo Hall today, we do have an activation with BirdLife Australia in there, so please go and have a look. There's some great things that you can do very simply to help regenerate some of the habitats. But anything else, where can they go to help maybe provide a little bit more funding for you?
Yeah, well, come straight to us in the next breakout session and talk to us about all the great work we do, and we can explain in a bit more detail. If you go to the BirdLife website, birdlife.org.au, you will quickly find a donate button, so please feel free to help us financially. And there's a million ways to get involved with the organisation, both as volunteers, as advocates, as financial supporters, and as partners. We're looking for more partners to work directly with, to give staff meaningful experiences, and to give back to the community and to the birds.
Fantastic. Well, look, please, everyone, give a warm round of applause for James.
Thanks, Jason.
And thanks very much. And look, once again, thank you, BirdLife Australia, for helping our Australian birds. They definitely need it right now. One of the things, obviously, NetSuite do help a lot of charities and not-for-profit organisations very similar to BirdLife Australia. One of the ways, or the way that we do this, is by our social impact. So there's a program that we do which we volunteer both time, effort and donation of licensing, etc., to help these not-for-profit organisations form a backbone so they can then go on and do all the great work that they do. So the social impact program that we do have comes in 3 pillars. We've got the Suite donation, we've got the Suite pro bono, and then we've also got the Suite capacity. So at the moment, we're servicing just over 1,800 charities across the globe, with over 100 here in Australia and New Zealand. Our software donations so far have calculated up to over $100 million worth of value there to help these organisations get up on their feet and have an application or a business solution there to manage those businesses. We've had, over the past 12 months, we've had just shy of 850 NetSuite employees conduct pro bono type work, providing 6,000 hours of their time across 220 projects around the globe. So this is a massively important thing to NetSuite. It's been part of our DNA for a very long time, and the giving grows the more that the business grows, and that's been heading in the right direction. So this is great, and we're very, very proud of the work we do there. If you'd like to see a little bit of our pro bono work in action, in the Expo Hall again, up the far end, we've got what we call a Build-a-thon for Good. Now, a Build-a-thon for Good is where we get a collection of Oracle NetSuite employees, we get a collection of charities, we match them together, and then the NetSuite Oracle employees work in conjunction with the charity owners to help address a NetSuite challenge or something they'd like to address within NetSuite that they haven't been able to figure out how to do as yet. So please, if you get a chance, go into the Expo Hall and have a little look at that later on. As I said, you could also visit James and the BirdLife Australia crew in the Expo Hall at the activation there. So, with NetSuite, so it's one thing for me to get up in front of everyone and I suppose tell everyone how good NetSuite is. I've been here for 14 years, it's a fantastic solution, and I've enjoyed watching hundreds and hundreds of customers in Australia really grow and take advantage of all the things it can do. But I think it's far better and far more, a far better way to, I suppose, highlight how NetSuite works is by showing the customers that we've got. So globally, we've got just over 19,000 customers now. So for those customers that have been around NetSuite for longer than I, it's definitely moved. The needle's moved a long time since then. And the majority of the customers and organisations you see up on the screen now are all Australian customers. So we've got a vast amount across all different shapes and sizes, different industries, etc., all using NetSuite. Now, one of the I suppose, commonalities, even though they're different sizes, they're different industries, etc. One of the commonalities all these organisations do have is they're growing extremely rapidly. And one of the things that we found is that the reason why and the reason how they've been able to grow so rapidly is because they chose the right infrastructure to support that business early on in their progress, and that's allowed them to build that stable foundation moving forward. So NetSuite, what is NetSuite for those of you that are not aware? So NetSuite is an end-to-end business solution that's delivered through the cloud. It allows organisations to address critical country-specific things around tax, compliance, audit, and those types of processes and requirements that really do take a lot of time if you don't have the right solution in place. It's the most internationalised out-of-the-box application that you will find in the market. So what we mean by that, it allows organisations to manage all their complex multi-currency, financial transactions, etc. It allows them to monitor multiple subsidiaries around the globe. It allows them to consolidate all of those. If you are an international company, it allows them to consolidate all the taxation requirements, etc., in a single application. Now, while we're talking on the topic of growth, the next customer that we have on epitomises rapid growth and being able to do that in a sustainable manner. Stephen Marks is the CEO or global CEO of an organisation that epitomises rapid growth. Stephen was from New York. He gave up a very good career in investment, decided to get a one-way ticket to Australia when he was 30. And then, as you do, once you've gone down that path, you decide to then open a fast, casual Mexican restaurant. So in 2006, Guzman y Gomez was born. So with that, I would like to welcome Stephen to the stage so he can tell a little bit about his story of growth.
See ya.
So, Stephen, I think, I suppose Kleenex is to tissues that Guzman is now to Mexican. So
yes,
I think everyone here knows Guzman and Gomez. But what they might not know is the story. So if you can maybe just elaborate a little bit about what happened with that one-way ticket, you've come to Australia.
Now I'm stuck here.
Now you're stuck here.
Yeah. That's the problem.
And what's happened since then? Where did you start? How did you start? And where is the business now?
I think, first of all, great to be here. I appreciate the invite. I'm an ex-finance guy. Well, I'm an ex-street kid, but finance guy. And I went to, so I'm still from New York. Okay. I just live in Australia, and all my family lives in New York City. But I grew up in New York, and I went to a place called University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. And there they have the Wharton School of Finance, which is one of the best business schools in the United States. So all the big investment companies come to Philly to recruit, to get a job after school. So I got offers from these big investment banks like, the Goldman Sachs and those kinds. And this one guy showed up, his name was Stevie Cohen. And he was the first guy starting hedge funds. This is a long time ago. And he convinced me to come work with him. And at that point, we had about $30 million under management. He's worth $15 billion now. The show Billions is based on him. And I worked with him, then I left, set up my own fund, and then I got poached by a guy to set up a fund in London called Cheney Capital, which became the biggest hedge fund in Europe. But while I was there, what was significant was now there's Aussies everywhere. They're all over New York, they're all over the west coast of the States. I met my first Aussie. I'm like, this guy's very funny, right? And very self-deprecating and, and a hard worker. So I hired one, then I turned around in London. I had like 30 Aussies working for me. And I kept seeing pictures of like Bondi Beach and Brighton Beach. So as a kid growing up, my mother's from Brooklyn. That's why the accent, I can't shake it. And my dad was from Miami Beach. So I saw Miami Beach become South Beach. Mm-hmm. So as a kid, man, we grew up with nothing. I was like, I'm going to own a hotel one day. Yeah. So I was living in London. I was like, you know what, I'm done. I hate this business. I did well, luckily, but I didn't like the ethics. I said, I'm moving to Bondi Beach. I'm going to build a hotel. So people were like, you doing what? You know what I mean? You never even been there. So I thought Bondi Beach was going to be like the next South Beach for Asia. So I moved here. My best friend was moving here as well, and I tried to buy this building in Bondi Beach, but I couldn't zone it, and I just couldn't get it off the ground. I didn't realize how over-governed things were here. But every time I met an Aussie, they were like, no worries, no worries. I remember grabbing my business partner, I said, all we do is worry. You know what I mean? I think we're going to kill it here. And we went into fashion. I've been very entrepreneurial since I was a little kid. My mother raised 3 boys on her own, so we had to work hard. And I got very lucky. Where I grew up in New York, I grew up with a lot of Mexicans. Right, so when I got to Australia, I'm kind of they say obsessed, but I call it passion. I'm very passionate about the things I do, and I'm into detail. And I literally went to every single Mexican restaurant in Australia, and they sucked. They were horrible. And I remember walking, at this point, we had a wine bar, we had a record label, we had a big fashion brand. We were the biggest fashion exporter from Australia. I remember going into my best friend Robert's office. I go, sit down, man. You're not going to believe this. I said, we are going to reintroduce a whole cuisine to the country. And he kept saying to me, he's like, why us? Like, why do we have to do it? And I think as an entrepreneur, you always think you can do things better. So I named it after two friends of mine I grew up with, a guy named Guzman and Mike Gomez. And I forgot when we called it Guzman y Gomez, right? I realized there were no Guzmans running around here or any Gomez's, but I knew the Aussies would shorten it, right? But I knew it meant something to me. I think when you build a brand, it means something to you. So I brought chefs in from Mexico. I found, man, I'd go to any restaurant, I heard somebody speak Spanish, I immediately had to go grab them. But you got to come work with me. They go, but I'm Colombian. I'm like, they don't know. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. But, you know. And then I found every Mexican. So it took us 2 years. We found this little store in Newtown. So GYG was founded 13 years ago. Moved chefs in from Mexico. All my artwork was from Mexico. Everything had to be original. And I literally had all Mexicans in there. So the Aussies walk in, they're like, what's up with all these Indians? I'm like, they're Mexicans. They're like, they all speak Mexican? I'm like, that's not even a language. They speak Spanish. So they're from Spain. I got to educate everybody. They thought black beans were olives. They didn't know what a tortilla was. Yeah. We were the first ones doing like slow-cooked pork shoulders. I couldn't call it pulled pork. They thought it was sexual, so I had to call it slow roasted. So as any good entrepreneur, and I started to lose a lot of money, I opened up another store. Lost more money. I opened up another store. Lost more money. But one thing, you know, when you build something, and I love GYG. I mean, it's in my soul, is that I refuse to compromise on quality, ever. Like, that's one thing at GYG and as we grow. Like, I've never, ever compromised on quality or my people. You know, so as we were losing so much money, like, people were like, why don't you just cut the quality of your steaks or get less people? And I said, no, I mean, that's how you just said everything's about foundation. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I didn't grow up as a kid, like, I'm going to sell burritos in Australia. You know, but when I got there, I realized that my people were so beautiful and so was my food, just people weren't educated enough about it. So I just kept going, opening up more restaurants, working 100-hour weeks, but never, ever compromising. And then when I had about 5 restaurants, they started to turn, right? Because people realized, wow, they make everything fresh and nothing's processed. And I remember I have an identical twin brother. We keep him in New York. And I could call him. He's like, how's it going, right? Everybody thought I lost my mind. Like, my mother called my experience in Australia the race to bankruptcy, you know? And I remember calling him up. I'm like, all the restaurants broke even. He goes, aren't they supposed to make money? I'm like, yeah, obviously you've never done this, you know? And because we never stop, I think when you go through a lot of pain as an entrepreneur, you either go out of business, which I refuse to. I'm relentless about, you know, just making sure things work, or you innovate. Yeah. So what we did was I realized that there weren't a lot of people living in Australia and they eat during, you know, just 12 and 2 and 6 to 9, is that I had to develop a platform that was so fast, but it had to be done with all fresh food. So we built our own sticker systems, kitchen delivery systems, and we ended up building probably the fastest fresh food operating platform anywhere in the world.
Wow.
You know, which was amazing. And because I used to run tech funds, so I understood technology well and numbers. So long story short, you know, we got up to 65 restaurants, and the system was so fast that we opened up a drive-through right across the street from McDonald's. I like going right after people, you know. And the guys that built McDonald's, after I had 5 restaurants, came on board with me. They weren't with McDonald's anymore. I think they saw where the future of fast food was going, that you have to have clean food to serve the masses. And then we realized when we opened up Narang 5 years ago that the experience time was the same speed as McDonald's. And then it was like a light bulb moment. Like, why can't we be the new face of fast food? Like, when did fast food become bad food? And then I became relentless about the menu and making sure everything was clean and everything was fresh. And, you know, and one thing, you know, when you build an organization, I have amazing people that work with me, and they're just as crazy as me, right? Because, you know, when you love something so much, you think you can change the world. Yeah. So now we have 40 drive-thrus. We're the fastest fast food growth company in all of Australia. I got 4 stores in Tokyo, 11 in Singapore. Just opened up our first baby in Chicago. We've got 139 restaurants now. I'll build another 25 this year just in Australia. And our restaurants are double-digit comping, and nobody else in the country is doing that. So wow. I'm very proud of our people and everybody that supports GYG. So it's been it's just the beginning, but it's been great.
Fantastic, good, and clean is the new healthy. I know that.
That's right. Don't forget it.
Look, obviously Australia was the first expansion. Were there any challenges or unforeseen challenges when you went from Australia domestic to Singapore, Japan, and now most recently the US?
Well, Singapore, we have 11 restaurants. I think it was easy because everybody spoke English. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure our supply chain could work. When we opened up in Tokyo, they don't speak English, and everybody eats Japanese food, right? And the thing about Mexican food, it has such a negative connotation because it's usually done pretty poor. And when Mexican food's done well, it really is beautiful and it's really fresh. So this comes back to your partners, and I think that's why, I'm a huge fan of NetSuite, is that my partners, I'm very good at picking great partners that have the same values and the same amount, I got a lot of love in me, right? And I got a lot of soul, and I need that to be reciprocated. And so these guys just never stop. They're actually the best restaurant operators in Tokyo, and we just educated people about Mexican food. And they knew, to get an avocado in Tokyo, these guys have pieces of fruit in marble fridges, you know what I mean? It's so expensive, but they realized they couldn't compromise on the quality of the food. And in 5 years' time, now they have double-digit growth. But they never gave up, which is fantastic. So now we have 4 restaurants. We'll open up another 2 in Tokyo this year.
Okay, fantastic. And I know in Tokyo, I've been to Tokyo a few times, and yeah, definitely that they take a lot of pride with their food.
Yes.
But they also have a lot in vending machines. Any Guzman y Gomez going to vending machines? No?
Burritos travel well, but I'm not sticking in a machine.
Fantastic. So there's a lot of budding entrepreneurs out here that have got their businesses that are looking to I suppose, make the next step in growth. Any recommendations, any things that you've learned along the way that, just a couple of key simple principles maybe that you've learned that you stick to?
Yeah, I think you can't be delusional about what you're building. I think people get blinded with passion of what they build. At the end of the day, it's all about revenue. If you have a product that works, it should be selling, right? That's the thing. If you have no revenue, you got no product. Then obviously the other one's people. I'm very good at knowing what I don't know and finding people that know it. And give them autonomy. I don't micromanage. I find the most talented people, convince them to come with me, and just let them do what they're good at. And then pain. Yeah. I love pain. I like being uncomfortable. If I'm not uncomfortable, it's not working. Yeah. So I think you have to love that. I need to be uncomfortable at all times. And I think my team rolls like that. But you have to like the pain, and you have to believe in it.
Yeah.
And truly love it, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, and I've heard that from others as well. Complacency is just not a thing that you can have if you want to be successful. So you guys are doing so well. What's next? What's next for GYG?
Well, next is, I think whenever you build anything, I don't look too far. Everybody's like, what's going to happen in 5 years? I'm like, I got no idea. Yeah. I know next week I open up Chatswood, right? And then I have Auburn, then Seven Hills, and then I have my next store in Chicago. That's all I think about, right now, is really short term, because I get paranoid. I want every person that walks into GYG to love it. So the experience has to be nailed. When we make fresh food, I want to make sure that food is fresh and hot. My staff is supported and engaged so they can deliver that experience. That's all I care about. In every store, you just got to get better at doing that.
Yeah. Well, the word is definitely out there, and you guys are doing fantastically. So one quick question before we leave. Pick of the menu, what's your favourite?
Mini spicy pork nachos.
Okay, everyone, you've heard it from the founder. Mini
just
spicy
quickly, Jason,
pork
I just want to say something. As an ex-finance guy, and obviously, and I built all the operations at GYG. We know each other. That you guys do a fantastic job. I think on our side, we want to make sure we have my job is to find best-in-class, world-class software and products that make my business run easy. We have our app, and we got point of sale and inventory, and we got drones running around now, and I got drive-throughs with technologies that. Like you said, if you don't have a foundation in place, especially on a financial side, I need up-to-the-minute reporting, and live data to run my business and make decisions. And as a partner, I need product and I need great people, which you guys have, but I don't need pain from you guys, and you don't give me that. So I appreciate that. My people are very happy.
I'll give a pat on the back to all the people involved with that, so that's
Thanks,
good.
Man.
And one thing that you did say is that, as long as you're not hearing anything about NetSuite, then that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
You're trying to run
I didn't even know you guys were there.
Yeah. Mate. Everyone, can you please put a warm welcome, Stephen Marks.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, bro.
Cheers. And I think those last comments are really pertinent. I think it's NetSuite is here. We'll take the burden of sort of running the back office and running your systems here, so you can really focus on what you do best, and that's running your business. Whether it's helping to preserve the bird life, whether it's making the best burritos and tacos in the world. It doesn't matter what you do. The good thing is NetSuite allows you to do that without. And if you don't hear from us, then that's a positive thing. So. What you can see on the screen here is, look, Australia has some fantastic businesses and some fantastic organisations that we've been lucky enough to be part of their growth. So you'll see just up on the three, just some of the three that we really wanted to just highlight today that you may be aware of, and there's thousands of others of you out there. So we're not limiting it, but this is just some of the highlights that you would have probably seen in your day-to-day life or in the press, etc. Recently. So You've got organisations such as Canva, if you've ever, from a corporate perspective, if you've ever need design or any sort of imagery, etc., or if you're at home and just want to send out some birthday invitations, Canva is the platform to do that. And in a very, very short time, within 5 years, they've got over 20 million subscribers. So they're in the press a lot, but they've been able to do a lot of that on NetSuite, and we're very lucky to have them as a customer. Anyone that's got a pool, obviously we've had a lot of fires, a lot of dust, a lot of smoke. No doubt you've had your pool maintenance people come along, and more than likely that was someone from Poolworks. So Poolworks, another local business that is now the largest pool maintenance franchise business in the world, which is absolutely fantastic. And the growth numbers that this business has had is over the last even 2 or 3 years have been phenomenal. So really, really happy once again. And as you can see, very different industries, very different types of businesses. And then we've got Biopack. We've got Gary here, the founder of Biopack, in the audience. They basically are the market leaders in biodegradable coffee cups and any sort of, I suppose, platforms that you're eating with, or whether it's forks, spoons, plates, cups, that sort of thing. They are the number one. You might not recognise them because typically they do bespoke design. So your local cafe might have their own label on it, but 90% of the time that will be a Biopack cup. So very, very happy. And they started with NetSuite very early on as well, where they were getting 10 orders a day, and now they're up to 14,000 orders a day. And they've been able to, I suppose, grow with NetSuite. And this is one of the, I suppose, it's great looking up there and understanding the growth that these organisations have had, but one of the things that stands out for me, and it was exactly what Stephen mentioned as well, was that they chose their platform early. They chose it before they had that spike in growth, because once you start growing and you're hitting the growth levels of these sorts of organisations, it's really, really difficult to stop the momentum so you can put in a new system. You need to get in there early, set the foundation so that growth can be not only fast but also sustainable and manageable, because you've got all the right information at hand. So with that in mind, we've got our final customer speaker of the day. Epitomised, once again, everyone that we bring on stage today is epitomising the whole Unlock the Growth theme. So we're lucky enough to have a lady by the name of Danielle Allen. So Danielle and her friend, like a lot of us here, had corporate jobs. They decided one day that they didn't like corporate jobs, and they set out to start the first female-owned brewing company in the country. That was back in 2011. In 2014, they then furthered that to open up a state-of-the-art bottling plant, as well as food and brewery. So that's just outside of Melbourne. So if anyone's down that way, I'm sure Danielle will give you the address so you can go and visit there. But since then, they've grown. They've now got 5,000 wholesale distributing and retail customers, as well as selling directly. So with that in mind, I would like to bring to the stage Ms. Danielle Allen. Thank you, Danielle.
No worries.
So, Danielle, thank you. Thank you very much. I know you've come all the way over from Perth
Yes.
as part of this. I hope you've got some other things on as well. But look, thanks very much for coming. Can you tell us a little bit about the story? What led you to leave a corporate role and then take on a brewery? Yeah.
Sure. So my business partner, Jane, she had already been in the beer industry for about 10 years. She'd worked for the likes of Little Creatures, Mountain Goats, and pretty reputable craft brewers that are around still today. And myself, I'd been in corporate, in marketing and product development for about 10 years. And we were friends, both originally from Perth, and we decided to go on a holiday over to the US, as you do, and we planned out a whole lot of visits to some amazing breweries. And like Stephen, we sort of had that light bulb moment when we were over there, and we thought, we can do this. Let's come back to Australia and plan how to start a brewery together. And the rest is history. So yeah, the trip was in 2011. We came back from there and did about 6 months of planning, and then we launched our first beer in October of 2011.
Fantastic. Were you beer fans before?
Yes, always. Drunk beer from 18, of course. So grew up drinking beer, always enjoyed beer. Jane, obviously, being a brewer and studying brewing. She also studied viticulture as well, so she had a wine background as well as brewing. Okay. She obviously had a greater understanding to beer in terms of how to brew it, all the different types of styles, etc. And I was was definitely not there in my craft beer journey, but obviously starting a brewery, I've come a long way in understanding it and appreciate beer for, there's so many different styles of beer out there, and a lot of people think they don't like beer, but it just means you haven't found the right one.
My mother now likes beer, and she found the right one, and that's never happened. It's taken 75 years to like a beer, so I can definitely attest to that.
Yeah.
You were mentioning at the beginning that you started off with a 5-year plan, but that 5 years turned into a far shorter time.
Yeah, so we started off contract brewing, which means we use someone else's brewery. So we go in there with our recipe, and we had a big focus at the beginning on distribution and marketing. And I guess it was a good way for us to test that, our brand was right and that the world was ready for a new beer and a new beer from two girls as well. So we had a plan to build a brewery, and we did want to get to that stage, but we thought we'd be at that level within 5 years. But we got there at about the 2.5-year mark. So we really had to accelerate our plans for building our brewery and work out how we were going to fund that and go about finding a location and basically building a brewery from the ground up. So yeah, it was an exciting time. I think we probably slipped in and started our brewery before craft brewing became really popular. When we first started, there was around 250 breweries in Australia, and there's 650 today. So it was a different time, but we had a great platform as well with Jane being in the industry for 10 years prior. We were able to get early appreciation for our beer and early support, and we had a lot of growth.
Fantastic. Were there any unforeseen challenges or struggles? Obviously, Jane was part of that industry beforehand.
Yeah.
She would have been able to highlight some of the things you needed to do to get where you are now. Were there anything unforeseen that popped up in that rapid growth, etc.?
I think it's just, you start a business and you only know what you know, and fortunately for us, we knew how to make beer, and I thought I knew how to market and sell it. But then there's all the elements of starting a business and running a small business that you don't necessarily understand. So the challenges for us were really around, managing cash flow, managing, capital, and just finding the right people as well. So a lot of people, want to be in the beer industry because it sounds quite glamorous, but then there's a lot of hard work behind it as well. So, yeah, just really nutting down the right team from the start was something that we probably didn't do early enough. Looking back, we probably should have got people on board with more skills in particular areas earlier on.
Okay. And I have been questioning my career. I've been thinking a life in brewing beer might be quite nice after this. But so obviously, you've gone from being a brewer to also now having your own facilities where you've got food and things like that. So you're not just brewing beer anymore. You've expanded that out. How are you managing all these different parts of the business now?
With NetSuite, of course. So like NetSuite is an end-to-end. So we're an end-to-end business as well. So we brew our own beer, we sell it to our wholesale business, and we also have a retail business. So and I guess the product offerings that we have ensure that we're capturing as much sales and revenue. So we'll produce beer in keg format, in cans, in bottles, and the styles that we produce as well. Obviously, we have a lot of focus on innovation, which has become more important as we're a more mature business now. Differentiating ourselves is, something that we've got to keep our eyes on and focus on. So a lot of innovation and just using systems throughout that whole process really supports our business and keeps control of costs from the brewery side of things right through to our bar and selling at our retail outlet as well.
Fantastic. Any plans to open up retail outlets in Sydney by chance?
People ask that a lot, and I always say for us, one brewery is enough.
Yeah. So what's next? What's next? You've obviously done a few things ahead of time. What's next for Two Birds?
Yeah, I guess we're quite excited about the export opportunities that have been, coming our way over the last few years, and hoping to really focus on those in the next 12 to 18 months. So we've already started selling beer to China and Singapore, and we actually have a container on its way to China at the moment, and with the situation over there, it looks like it's going to be quite a long time until that country returns to normal and people start going out to bars again. So if you're over there and you see our beer, please drink it. You are supporting Australian business. And we're looking at Canada and California as well. So the craft beer scene in both of those markets, in Canada and California, is probably about 10 years ahead of here in Australia, and we think that our brand can work really well over there, so we're going to test that out, and obviously still keep focusing on Australia and our domestic market, and really nurturing all of our customers here and ensuring that we're giving them the beer that people are interested in. So that's a big focus, and also adjacent beverages other than beer becoming popular as well. So
like the ciders and things like that, or
ciders probably about 5 years ago, but there's
sorry, I'm a bit out of the trouble.
That's old news. No, there's some new seltzers, hard seltzers, and a lot you can do where it's still brewing and still beer, but just adding a lot different inclusions and different flavours into beer to make it really interesting, and different levels of carbonation. So there's a lot we can do.
Fantastic. And how many have you got on the menu now that you need to manage and come up with the flavours? And
we brew about seven beers, all year round, that are available all year round as like our core range, and then we have a new beer coming out every 2 weeks.
Oh wow!
Yeah, just like a limited release program.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But look, thanks so much. Now, I think you've got a stand out in the expo hall. Can you tell us a little bit about what people might be able to do out there at your stand?
There's beer, and you can drink it. No, we've got an activation in the middle where we've got 4 of our beers there, and we've got some of the ingredients that goes into the beer, so you can actually, if you've never smelt or looked at hops, we've got some of that for everyone to look at, and then we've matched that with some food, so hopefully you can see the characteristics of the beers and see whether you think it's a good match with a particular food or not. And then we're actually making little Two Birds badges and bags, tote bags as well, I believe. So
fantastic. And you'll be able to see, if you can get a close-up of that. Here's some of the badges that you can make yourself. So I've got a little sombrero for Guzman and Gomez, and obviously I've got the Two Birds as well. Underneath that, you can't make this one, but this is for the BirdLife Australia. So there we go. Proud. Okay. Danielle, thank you very much. Will everyone please give Danielle a warm round of applause? So next we have, look, as you can see, these examples of businesses are really, really good examples of organisations that have had significant growth, but have all taken that step to really make sure that they're doing it on the right foundations. And you can see the success of each and every one of them, different industries, different sorts of businesses, but as they've grown, it's stable, it's predictable, and it's maintainable. They're not building, I suppose, a house of cards. So that's really, core to NetSuite. NetSuite is all about helping and enabling businesses to grow. We love, most organisations that start with NetSuite, they stay with NetSuite all along. We do say that NetSuite is the last ERP you'll ever buy, and I think with the amount of customers here and the longevity of those customers, that's definitely testament to that phrase. With that in mind, and to tell you a little bit more about NetSuite's journey and NetSuite's growth, I'd like to bring to the stage Mr. KK Pan. Now, KK is the Vice President of Oracle NetSuite for the Asia Pacific and Japan region. So, over to you, KK. Thank you.
Good morning, Australia. Good morning, Sydney. How are we doing in terms of energy? Are we okay? We're exciting, right? So maybe we should get some beer before we start, right? Yeah, I would want one. So welcome, right? And those people that's watching the live stream, thank you for joining us. So my name is KK. I have been with Oracle for 13 years. right? So, but this is my first year doing NetSuite, only in NetSuite. I used to run Oracle applications, if you know the other side of the fence. So, fantastic testimonial from the customer, right? We hear from Birds Life, Two Birds, and then G&G, Guzman, fantastic journey they have with NetSuite, and they're all saying only one message, right? And to a certain extent, it's growth. Growth, right? I think everybody here, including us, Oracle, NetSuite, yourself, we all want growth. We want more customers. We want more revenue. We want more, definitely more margin. We want to have impact, in whatever we do, right? In the industry, we want to conquer. And this is what it is all about, right? And today, the theme of the conference is really about unlock growth, right? And I'm going to share a little bit about, how we're doing that, because I think we all face the same challenges, right? Whether it's at Oracle, NetSuite, or majority of you here. There's always not enough time. There's always not enough resources. There are competitions. There are assumptions that may not be correct, right? And environmental issues that is beyond our control, right? Did you notice that Jason and the guest has kept a 2 meter and above distance away? Right, I think that's good practice now, right? Because of the situation. No, it's not a joke. It's really a situation we have globally with this virus. Who expected that, right? Nobody expected the bushfire to be so devastating in Australia, right? Nobody expected that China will shut down the whole country. They shut down the whole country, right? I have friends that have been quarantined, in the house. I mean, actually, Oracle employees, right? They are not allowed to leave the house, right? Every week, one person can go out and buy groceries. That's the environment we're dealing with, the unexpected challenge. So how do we unlock growth, right? Maybe I will share a little bit of what NetSuite and Oracle has really gone through. So I think all of you know that you've seen this before, right? That 20 years ago, our founder, Evan Goldberg, with the other founder, Larry Ellison, did this project on NetSuite. And since then, right, you know that growth, right? When NetSuite started, it's really a financial application, right? But our North Star, our true North, never changed, in which we want to build a single suite of systems that ties everything together on the web. So that doesn't change. Like Jason said, the foundation has never been changed. So when we started off, it's not a surprise that we found that no business are the same, right? It is very complex to run business, right? It's very, very difficult, to have something that everybody can use. So therefore, over the years, we have built SuiteCloud. I think most of you are familiar with SuiteCloud, right? So that gives our customers, our partner, and yourself to extend the solution, to customize the solution based on your geography needs, your location needs, or your industry needs. And then later on, in NetSuite, we found that, okay, a lot of our customers are no more local. You grow globally, right? Two Birds, you're going to China, I heard, you're going to Japan, you're going to California, and just found that you have to deal with complexity beyond your local requirements. That's where we have One World that allows our customers to operate in a multinational basis, multi-currencies, multiple locations, multiple subsidiaries, and this is the journey we went. And all of you remember, 2016, 2017, Oracle has acquired NetSuite. So now we are actually Oracle NetSuite. So what has given us is that Oracle has given NetSuite and unleashed NetSuite to a certain extent to really focus on getting the best business solution, right? We have a lot of more integration and discussion with Oracle, right, to leverage their technology, and growth is on the part for us. And therefore, I want to share a little bit about what Oracle brings to the table. Have everybody heard about the OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure? Some of you may. Some of you may not. All right? So Oracle has embarked into a new second generation of technology. We call it Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Right? As at now, right? By the way, just for information, right? Over the last few months, last 2 months actually, we have commissioned 5 new OCI cloud locations. One of them is in Melbourne. You may want to know, Melbourne. All right, so the other region, if you're interested, is in Canada, is in Saudi Arabia, is in Japan, and is in Amsterdam. All right, and we are planning to have up to 36 locations, 36, by the end of 2020. Right, so that is Oracle helping us to unleash our growth, right, to unlock our growth. And like all good saying, right, we want you to remember that, Oracle also want NetSuite to remember that, don't worry about the underlying technology, don't worry about the plumbing and electrical wires, don't worry about the infrastructure. NetSuite needs to build the best business solution for the business. And this is how we have changed since the Oracle acquisition. So what really is Oracle Cloud Infrastructure? Right? So we want to know that the beauty of this is OCI comes with all the new technology extensions that most of you will need in some point of time. All right? And what does OCI really encompass? It's really, the core of it is the Oracle database. It's a database as a services, right? This is what Oracle is very, very strong in. And what does it mean, right? Our Oracle Autonomous Database Cloud will actually be self-tuning to get a better performance. It also is self-patching to give you the best security and compliance. And all this are now the underlying functions that all of you will get because NetSuite is going to be built upon this new OCI technology. And more than ever, you will also know that today, as the world has evolved, IoT, who doesn't talk about IoT now? How do we integrate stuff together to give a better user experience? That comes with OCI. Blockchain, very important now, right? And last but not least, AI. And all of this will help us to unlock the growth. Oracle will unlock the growth for NetSuite business solution, and we together will unlock all this, and they are all going to be made available to you through Suite Cloud Network. Right? So you'll see this. So some of them will be already embedded, especially like AI, right, into the solution. Some of it we will have to continue to work with our partners, the SDN partners, yourself, to create a solution for your need for the future. So that is really what Oracle NetSuite is going to unlock the growth for all of you. Now, we spoke about True North. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that in NetSuite, our True North is really to build one system that ties everything together on the web for allow businesses like you to achieve your own True North, your vision, your destination in your business. And this is our True North. And along the way, right, you know that we will see a lot of challenges, adversity, wrong assumptions, but that doesn't take us away, that Oracle NetSuite will continue with this mission. We'll continue to build this platform. We want to build a solution that is not for you now, not only for you now, but a solution for you in the future. And more importantly, is you can pace yourself on the adoption of what we are delivering as you move along, as you see the challenge, as you see the need. And this is basically what, for us, is the True North, is to build this trusted, long-lasting partnership with all of you. And your True North, you know better than us, right? you may want to build a new product. You get into a new industry. You get into filling a gap, for a certain product. We are here for you, okay? We are here to continue, to allow you to leverage technologies that we will come together, the business function that we'll build upon based on your need. And you hear from our 3 very important customers. The vision is to create a bright future for Australian birds. And more so than ever now with that devastating fire, right? And we want to make sure that we'll be continuing to partner you to give you the right tools and solutions to achieving this true north vision. We heard a very funny man, a New Yorker that doesn't look like Mexican to me, right? But he's funny, right? He's Mexican, I think, right? And you hear from him, right? It's about passion. It's about belief, right? It's about this entrepreneurship with grit, right? And this is exactly what is going to be represented with NetSuite that will be delivered to all of you again. Last but not least, the best for me, is to make the kind of beers that we will be getting very soon, I hope, right? Am I the obstacle for beer? No? How much time I have? Okay, almost done. Okay, so with that, my last slide, right? So I won't be blocking you to beer, right? Just want you to remember that what does NetSuite, Oracle, NetSuite stands for, right? Is to give you the visibility of your business, right? Because you need to know the history, what it is now, and what is there for you in future. You need control. Those are the basics of business, right? Because as you grow the business, you can know more, well, most of you, right? Some of you may no more be able to engage the customer one by one. You cannot, be involved in all the projects by projects one by one. And NetSuite is giving you that complete control. And last but not least, this is the most important of all, agility, all right? The system is the solution, right? It's the foundation. We will grow together with you. We will build solution for your growth, for your need, and forever, if you continue to pay us. Thank you so much. Well, with that, please pay us. And our AMO team are all around the corners. Find them or they will find you, right? Okay, so with this, let me introduce to you, our Oracle NetSuite VP of Product Marketing, Paul Farrell, who will share a little bit about product for you. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, KK. Well, it's a real pleasure to be here today, and I know every time you have a visitor from the US, they say it's a pleasure to be here. It truly is for me, because a couple of days ago I was suffering minus 33 degrees Fahrenheit weather, so to come over here to a bit of humidity is fantastic. What I will say is, I think the science behind global warming, we heard some of it today, is true. It does exist. We just haven't heard about it in Minnesota yet. But maybe one day we'll get some warmth there. I'm also very encouraged by the talks this morning. I'm in pain. I've got a sore back. I've got a sore knee. I've got a sore shoulder. And I like beer. And according to 2 of our great entrepreneurs this morning, that's what keeps them going and that's what keeps them alive. So I'm just going to sit back and wait for the checks to come in. So hopefully one day that will happen. But it's great to be here. But I'm going to talk to you about really the true blueprint for growth. And that isn't, it's just not beer and it's just not pain. It's really visibility, control, and agility. And I'm going to talk to you about what we're doing, or what we've recently done in 20.1, again, to deliver more features for you in order for you to achieve that blueprint for growth. So visibility is key. And, visibility for all businesses is key. It lets us understand what has happened, what is happening now, and it helps us understand what's going to happen in the future.
And in a lot of businesses, what we do is we sort of manage the top line and the bottom line, and we have our reports and other things that sort of help us understand how the business is performing. But visibility and good visibility solutions also help us understand the blind spots that are out there, things we haven't thought about. And one of the great things about NetSuite is we deliver tons of analytics that we've built up over years and years and years of doing business across all different industries. So it allows you to sort of manage some of those blind spots, understanding customer churn, understanding that customers are eking into your profitability, understanding who your true valuable customers are. It's not just the profit and an overhead when you're selling something, or the cost and the overhead when you're selling something. It's actually more than that. You know, it's people who change their orders a lot that are very unproductive. So these blind spots are key, and good visibility indicates those. But not only does it help you with the blind spots, it helps you also by providing guideposts to make sure that the business is running the way that you want. So you are concentrating on your high-performing regions. You are concentrating on your key employees. You're managing attrition, all of those types of things. So visibility is very, very important, and every release we come out with new capabilities that help drive that. So in 20.1, we further improved our Suite Analytics product. So a couple of, 2 releases ago, the first release of Suite Analytics came out where we re-engineered the whole way in which you can do descriptive and diagnostic analytics to really find out what's happening in your business. In 20.1, we've updated the experience again with new ways of visualizing your data. But more importantly, we've rethought the way that your employees can go and look at what analytics are available. So they can find out what's there, they can share it more easily, and they can utilize the analytics that are available within the application to drive that level of visibility you need. We also continue to release new content, new workbooks. And a workbook is a collection of analytics around a key business area that people can drill down, pivot around, drive reporting, drive graphical analysis, etc. And in 20.1, we released the supply chain workbook that'll allow people to really understand the supply chains, the issues with it, and to optimize it more effectively. Also, visibility-wise, it's not just analytics that are there, but the analytics built into the core transaction. So as people are making changes, in this particular case, we've been re-architecting our project budgets. So as project managers are changing projects, or as costs are changing, we're seeing a real-time reflection in the overall profitability of a project, so people can make decisions as the changes are taking place, rather than when the project's finished and they're trying to understand why a profit hasn't been made. And this new capability in project budgets also helps project managers understand what they can do in order to manage cost changes or other issues that have arisen during the project lifecycle. Another area is contracts. So we've updated our contract system so that it gives better visibility of the billing within a contract. Has it been completely billed? Has it partially billed? Again, so that people can be proactive in driving the appropriate billing, driving the appropriate revenue, so they can recognize that and run the business more effectively. So that's just a sample of some of the things that we've done to drive visibility. So visibility is key. And as businesses grow, it's important to have that visibility. But as businesses grow, control becomes an issue, making sure you're staying on course. Or as KK mentioned, making sure that the business is adhering to that North Star. And as things grow, you can't sit on every sales call. You can't understand every opportunity that's there. You can't chase on every customer. You've got to trust that the business is running the way that you want it, using the right people, but also using the right systems with the right control capabilities, and it helps make sure the business is running in the direction that you want to. And there are lots of things that fall outside your control as well. Some were mentioned with the coronavirus earlier, something that's coming up and causing issues across the organization that you have no control with. Trade agreements, localization issues if you start to grow a business. So control is key. And a lot of what we do within NetSuite is there to help manage your business, and so that you can control it, manage the alert for frauds, or ensure that the right business rules that you want the business to operate in are reflected. And in 20.1, we've released a number of features and functions to help you achieve this. One of the first ones is we've re-architected our whole electronic banking to make better integration with the bank. So rather than manually downloading CSVs or statements from the bank, you can set up a real-time integration with the bank so you get that information accurately into the product as often as you wish. So making sure that's been done correctly and reducing errors, etc. Suite approvals. One of the things that we're working on now is we're doing a lot of work around the whole approvals framework. And you'll see this over the next couple of releases as we really simplify the way of driving approvals across the organization. But one of the things we added in 20.1 is the suite approval capability to the requisitioning system, so you can set up sophisticated approvals for requisitions. Time modification enhancements. If you're a people-based business, timesheets are everything. So within the new timesheet modification enhancement, it allows people to see all the time bookings quickly and easily, flag errors, and then ensure that the invoice that goes out is the right invoice at the right time so that you receive the cash at the right time as well. So some capabilities there. One of my favorites, the first version of this was released in 19.2. It's a supply chain control tower, and it's a sort of intelligent dashboard which really has a set of analytics that help you manage the supply chain. But one of the key elements of it is a machine learning and AI component that predicts risks. In 19.2, purchase orders were involved there. In 20.1, we've also added transfer orders where the system is predicting that there may be an issue in the future based on patterns it's measuring, and then it offers you recommendations on how to resolve that. So control is key to make sure your business remains on track and it runs the way that you want. But one of the other big areas is agility. Agility is key. As companies grow, sometimes they squeeze out the entrepreneurship and the agility that made them great in the first place. And as a matter of fact, one of the big opportunities for NetSuite has been over many, many years has been large companies putting in NetSuite because they need to be agile and grow into new regions or new businesses that they couldn't do with their older, larger products like SAP. So agility is key. But agility also helps companies manage what might be major inflection points in their business and to be able to leverage on them. So evolving business models. If you're a manufacturer 20 years ago, you make your product, you ship it, you invoice it, and then you recognize the revenue. Now lots of companies are starting to use IoT, usage-based billing, subscription-based billing in what was a traditional transactional business model. So again, agility is huge for companies so they can take advantage of opportunity or they can withstand pressures very, very quickly. And a lot of what NetSuite is doing is really trying to make that simpler for you and give you that opportunity to change the business as and when needed. One of the ways of doing that is to simplify and automate lots of transactions that are out there. So on the backside of the electronic bank integration is the intelligent reconciliation. So the system will automatically reconcile those statements that are coming in electronically. And as you start to put in how transactions are matched so that it couldn't do automatically, the system will learn from that, so it will automate that in the future for you. So again, ensuring that you can spend more time concentrating on running the business on the exceptions that need to be managed. Another area is our order allocation fulfillment engine. We've re-architected this over recent releases. And in the new release coming out in 20.1, if you've got a purchase order that slips or some sort of supply that slips and you need to reallocate it, then the system will intelligently work out the best way of reallocating that inventory so that your best customers or the customers that you want to give the highest level of customer satisfaction get that inventory first, and it minimizes the impact on everyone else. Also, we've been doing a lot of work on experience. In the last release, we released our new mobile framework for our WMS, and in 20.1, we've released our mobile framework for manufacturing. So again, no matter where you are in the business, you're able to get real-time information and to be able to transact quickly and easily with the product. The final area I'm going to talk about today is outsourced manufacturing, another great area for agility. And we see this all the time as companies grow and they concentrate on where they're adding value. That rather than making everything from scratch, they might outsource key components, or they might outsource to multiple regions, or they might provide only the high-value raw materials that the subcontractor is adding value to. So in 20.1, we've released a new outsourced manufacturing solution, which will give you the sort of agility to be able to have your products supplied to meet your current demand. So that's just a small sample of the items that are out in 20.1. I'm going to go through and demonstrate some of these in a bit more detail and show you some of our more visionary things later on this afternoon, and I look forward to meeting everyone there. And with that, thank you, and I will pass back to Jason.
Thank you very much, Paul. And it just highlights, this is one of the great things about NetSuite is that not only is everyone using the same version across the globe of the product, but that one version is continually being updated with fantastic new features and functions and capabilities to keep you ahead of the curve. So very, very good. Before we introduce our next guest, I just wanted to once again thank all the sponsors and partners, etc., for helping with today, especially our diamond sponsor, Bouris, as well as all the other platinum, gold, and silver partners that we have here. So once again, later on, if you do have time to go through and spend some time in the Partner Expo Hall, that would be great. Yeah, I'm sure they'd love to see you there, and I'm sure they've got some fantastic solutions for you that would be of interest to yourselves. So around about this time, my coffee hit starts to drop a bit. So for those of you that have managed to pick up your goodie bag at the front registration desk, I highly encourage you to go in and grab this little piece of Belgian chocolate. It's absolutely amazing. Kindly brought to us and kindly donated to us by one of our other really good customers, which is Belgian Delight, and we've got Christophe in the crowd there. So Christophe, very, very thanks for that. Third generation chocolatiers from Belgium, but now made in Australia. So that's the connection. I hope you've enjoyed this morning's content. We've had some fantastic customers up here telling us about their story of how they unlock growth. Hopefully you got some I suppose, tips and hints from that. A lot of them will be here today, as well as many, many of our other customers here. So if you are just starting that journey, or even if you're already embarked on that, as I said at the beginning, please feel free to reach out to whoever. There's a lot of partners in the auditorium. There's also a big NetSuite booth there. So if you are a little lost, just don't know where to go, feel free to go to the NetSuite booth, and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. We did start a little late today, so the breakout sessions will be slightly behind. So I think most of the breakout sessions will start about at 11:45, so in about 15 minutes. And then the two sessions that will be following on here in the two ballrooms will probably be about 10 minutes late. For those of you after today have still not got enough of NetSuite and you want a little bit more, we have SuiteWorld. So for those of you that haven't been aware, SuiteWorld is our big, it's the SuiteConnect version, but for the globe. So it's our big global user conference where we get pretty much every partner, most customers, they get along to NetSuite over in Vegas. There is a lot of work. It's not all party, but we do like to have a little bit of a get-together after each day. But feel free, it's the 10th anniversary, fantastic of event. There's many customers here that I know that have been there multiple times. If you are interested, please feel free to have a chat to your account manager or anyone at NetSuite, and they can give you some more details. So please, we'd love have a great day today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this morning's session, and I hope you continue to enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.